The Wednesday week. 5 friends, 1 football club. And about 6 jokes they just repeat over and over and over and over and over.
Hello and welcome once again to the Wednesday week. My name's Dan Fudge, and with me on the line today we've got, well, I think we've got a nursing quite the hangover still from the weekend. Vic, how are you feeling? Have you got better yet?
I'm still a bit rough, to be honest, but aren't I? Oh, little horn in the background there.
Yeah.
Is that my little intro now? Do I just get like,
Yeah, yeah. Every time you speak, somebody goes, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I've still got a sore throat. But yeah, I'm all good. I shouldn't have had a Sambuca in Manchester Piccadilly at 7 o'clock on Saturday night after drinking all day. But I'm good. I'm fine. I'm an old lady. I can cope.
All right, I'm happy for you. So, also on the line today, we've got all the way up in the Highlands, Davie, there, brother. You know him as Monty Dangerous. I know him as the guy with the best gifs on Twitter. There's the horn again. How's about that? Are you there, Dave?
I am here, mate. Yes, Fudge. How are you, son?
I'm all right, mate. I'm all right. Thank you for filling in the other week. Our apologies before we get started about not recording last week. It was an equipment issue. In no way
My
Vic
equipment.
being rubbish. Yeah. There's something wrong with Vic's equipment, and she
There's
feels.
a lot wrong with my equipment.
We'll put a pin in that and come back to that, I think, later on. Not a euphemism. So anyway, we had a lot go on. We didn't beat, in my head, we beat Norwich. We also beat Bristol City. We managed to Bristol City it up. That's gone now. That's in the past. So what we do, we're going to move forward to the North End, to Preston North End. Away day for you, Vic, wasn't it, this weekend?
Oh, it was. Do you know what was really weird, right? I was on the way there on the train with the Cop End lads. I say lads. There's only 3 of us under 50. No, sorry, that's not fair, Dean. But no, so I went on the coach with them, and they were at train, and they were all like, "Oh, we're going to go get lager and blah blah blah." And I thought, I can't drink lager at 9 o'clock in the morning. Plus, it's Slimming World. So I thought, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to buy cans of gin and tonic. Have you ever tried to drink a can of gin and tonic at 9 o'clock in the morning? It's don't go down drink. Well. It don't go down well at 9 in the morning. No, it doesn't. I took some Elvis juice. I've got my last 2 cans tonight. I bought 4 cans. I took them. I took 2 cans. Then I took some gin. And I was absolutely rattled by Manchester. And then we finally got on the train from Manchester, obviously got to Preston, all well and good. Went to a couple of pubs, I think. Can't really remember. And then, went to the game. Great. No bar, because someone set up a pyrotechnic. No pyro, no party. And then ended up in Manchester Piccadilly doing tequila and Sambuca. Well, I don't know how I got home.
So, join us next week on Vic's Day Out. House.
It doesn't happen very often. I got a babysitter, Mum's Day Out. It was wild.
So, all right. So let's talk about the football then for just a short brief
time. You can try. I don't have a clue.
I was going to say, I don't know what you're going to tell us apart from, lots of blurry shapes running around the pitch. But how did it start? Tell us about that first half.
I mean, it wasn't great by any means, but it also wasn't that bad. It was just, I think, the spirit around sort of the fans and stuff. When it gets to that point in the season, with Sheffield Wednesday, we're not going down, we're not going up, we don't give a fuck. It was just fine. As soon as we conceded, we were all like, never mind, it'll be fine. And then there wasn't anything coming back from Preston fans either, which was a bit weird. But I've been to Preston umpteen times now, and there never is. So it was just a bit flat, I guess. Obviously, our crowd would go in, it was brilliant. I ended up the second half, and you know how I feel about this, Fudge, but this little child next to me wanted to talk to me a lot. And I don't really like children. I can cope with some. I can cope with the spawn of the Wednesday week. That's fine. Love them. One of us all being born. But I just don't like them very much. And so this little girl started talking to me, and she pulled on my coat, and she was like, "Excuse me, missus, I can't see. Can you pick me up?" Oh, buzzing. Of course I can, love. Of course I can. Ovaries. Didn't realise it was It was 48 minutes. So I had to hold her for the next 45 minutes. This child weighed like about 4 stone. She was like a proper child. And she's there singing
Vic.
Barry Bannon. Loved her, but ow.
Vic, did you steal the child?
I didn't. Her mum wouldn't have known if I did, to be fair. She couldn't care less. She was like, finally, someone else has picked up my kid. But as I put her down, she went, because obviously like I'd held her for like 2 goals as well. We were like cheering together. I loved her. And she turned around, she went, "Do you know what, missus? This has been my best game ever." Oh my God, I nearly died.
Oh my God! Right. So
yeah, I got a clue about what happened in game.
I was going to say, tell us about the football. So right, 3-1 down.
Not a clue.
Half
You've
time.
seen highlights, haven't Lucy?
But we're 3-1 down at half time. We come out. I mean, Dave, tell us about it. Right. So we're 3-1 down half time. I've said that now 3 times on a bounce. I'm trying to get this back to football.
What was the score at half time again, Fudge?
It was 3-1 down at half time.
Right, okay.
Now,
Wasn't it? Was it 3-1? Yeah.
I want to say 3-1.
Okay.
Dave, tell me about your ovaries. No, tell me about the football.
Tell you about football. What do I know about football?
Oh, who scored? What happened? It was 3-1. Let's pick it up from 3-1.
Right, so from 3-1. Right, so from what Vic's saying, we started typical Wednesday way, and we've not turned up. But it looks like it's been a rocket, which is great because it's obviously what we needed. And Wednesday responded to that. And if you're not going to start games well, as long as you respond to a halftime team talk and come out with more energy and more focus, then there's not a lot more you can ask. Seeing Nando back on it is massive for Wednesday going forward because if he's still around next season, then if we can get the player that he can be, the players look like the last couple of games, then we can push on with that. And even if New You's getting involved, setting goals up and scoring them, then Christ, anything can happen. So yes, we still knackered it up and conceded another goal, but a 3-3 draw compared to what we looked like in that first half, I think you'd take that every day of the week.
Especially after being 3-1 down at half time, like, you know what I mean? It's a hell of a scoreline. I tell you what, Vic, we'll come to. I'll tell you what, Vic, we'll come to Atinu with you in just a moment. But there was quite a significant, poignant moment that happened. One that I was supremely gay for, Dave. And he turned up, he's got the name of a porn star. His touch is golden. I mean, come on, man. Kieran Lee getting a run out.
Do you know what? The minute we all saw him warming up, because obviously, like, when you're at Hillsborough, they warm up towards the away end, don't they? But it's still in front of the South Stand and whatever. But at Preston, they warm up towards their cop. Well, we're on the cop, aren't we? They're opposite of their cop. So they're like, he's like warming up, and we're all like, is that Kieran Lee? Is that Kieran Lee? And everyone along the road was like, I think that's Kieran Lee warming up. Is that Kieran Lee warming up? I think it's Kieran Lee warming up. And as soon as he started jogging back towards the bench, honestly, I felt like I was at my child's first Christmas nativity. It was just, there was so much pride in my little drunken heart that I just wanted to squeal. And then obviously the chant started and everyone's saying, is it him? Is it not him? And then he just stood there and it was just like, oh, any minute now. And the place just erupted, but it erupted in like such a nice way. Like, normally we talk about, Nando coming back after however many injuries or Hutch coming back or whatever. But I think in a way we've always kind of thought they would. Whereas with Kieran Lee, I think it has been for such a long time because he was so promising as a young kid. And then obviously injuries have blighted him, actually quite a lot like Sam Hutchinson. But I think all of us always thought Sam Hutchinson would come back. But we never knew with Kieran Lee. There's never really been any sort of indication from the club. And I don't know if that's because he's been so badly injured that they didn't want to make promises to us, to him or whatever. And obviously his insurance and whatever else. But it was just like the whole crowd sort of breathed this sigh of relief as he ran onto the pitch. And it was so nice to see because he is a loyal servant to the club. I know people will argue that, he's been sat on his sofa for like however long getting paid and, but the guy's obviously been working hard. You can see there's that photo of him and Bruce, and it's magical, isn't it? He just looks like a little kid being given his first start.
Well, this is,
when you see an academy lad at 18 being brought on, that's what it looked like.
Yeah, it did. I mean, that's what I wanted to touch upon. I mean, you probably might even know him, but I mean, we are a sentimental bunch, Sheffield Wednesday fans, and we'll get into contract talks later on as we discuss who would be on our retained list and whatnot. But I mean, I thought that was quite nice for Bruce to put his little hand around his face and do a little cheeky smile. So it was clear that Kieran Lee wasn't just some enigma that he pays every week. That, you know what I mean? It was somebody that he had a relationship with, which you know, I genuinely quite enjoyed. But I tell you what, Dave, I'll come to you on this. Cameron Dawson. Now, it happened at Norwich. It happened at one or two people chuntering at the Preston game as well, wasn't there? About his positioning and about he's come under a bit of flack from the supporters. Now, what would you say about that, Dave? Is it justified?
I think with Dawson, it's always going to be a comparison against Westwood, and it's going to be hard because the different styles of goalkeeper. Westwood's got all the experience in the world. He's phenomenal at what he does. So when it's Westwood that's coming out of the team, either electively from the previous banger of a manager that we had, or through injury, then you're immediately going, oh, God, is Dawson going to be a step up? Going back to the Norwich game, you know, you could see he wasn't ready in his own head, I don't think. He pulled a couple of saves off, but you're always wondering. Great for him to get that clean sheet against Bristol City. I think when he was in the team for a run, he didn't have enough of those clean sheets. But for me, what gets me scratching my head is people have talked about Dawson and his distribution with his feet, and that if he's got anything on Westwood, that's what he's got. Putting that to one side, I can't see, for me, why we haven't put Wildsmith back in, because from what he did last season when he was playing, I thought as a shot stopper, he was better than Dawson, and Dawson had a fair chance early on in the season, and he's came back in, and with the exception of the clean sheet, he's had 2 goals conceded against Norwich, 3 against Preston. So there's a question mark over him still. He has got ability, but he's not a boy anymore. He's young for a goalkeeper, but I can't help but think there's other options out there. And I don't know if he's going to be the future number one of this team, particularly if Westwood decides to go elsewhere in the summer.
Oh, wow. And you know what?
Wow.
I thought we're normally quite an optimistic bunch here, Dave, and I tell you what.
All right, Dave.
You know what I mean?
Bloody hell.
All right, Dave. But I tell you what, you know, that's all a valid point. There was definitely some poor arrangement of the defence and not really command of the box that happened in the last week. But I mean, what about you, Vic? Are you going to give him the ovaries routine and put your arm around him?
Oh, I think he's a bit old, even for me, for the ovaries routine. I think I've slated him when he's needed to be slated. I've praised him when he needs to be praised. I don't think really it was his fault at Preston. I think a lot of we gave him a lot of stick before, but we also gave him a lot of leeway by saying that obviously he had Tom Lees in front of him who wasn't very commanding. Obviously now he's got Tom Lees who is a million times better. I've got to say, he was fantastic at Preston. He now has the wall of Michael Hector in front of him, so maybe he should be commanding that back line a bit better, or he should be working with them a bit better. But I don't think he was that bad, to be honest. I think he pulled off a few cracking saves in the first half, absolutely cracking. I would keep him. I think that he is the kind of player that there's one name that wants to. When you talk about young goalkeepers, there's one name you want to mention, isn't there? But we won't. Dean Henderson. But
Chris Springer.
He's very. I think he could be one for the future. And as far as Wildsmith goes, I think he's been great, but he's never done anything outstanding as such. I think that Dawson is one to be built upon. I really do. Obviously, if Westwood leaves, I think it's a whole different ballgame. Like we've said, I really do. I think we would need to bring in somebody well above that. But I think, we've got Nicky Weaver working with our keepers at the moment, and I think that can only be an amazing thing for people like Dawson, people like Wildsmith. But I think if either had to, I don't know. I don't think I'd let either go. I think I would ship one out on loan somewhere. I don't think either of them will be on huge money. Out of the 2 young ones, obviously Westwood's on 40 grand a week, as we know. But I think I wouldn't get rid of him. but I have been his biggest critic at times, so I don't want to sound like a total hypocrite.
Fair enough. Well, all right. Well, that was a lot more harsh than what I anticipated. I thought the pair of you would sit there and go, "No, it's Cameron Dawson, and it's Sheffield, and we brought him up." But fair play. I'll give you both that, lads.
I think, like we've talked about Morgan Fox before on here, with the amount of stick that he gets and still turning up week in, week out. And we've said before, when people were chanting Kieran Westwood when Dawson was on the pitch that time, that was awful. That was absolutely awful. And we're all Wednesday fans. Us three here, people who are listening, we're all Wednesday fans. We would all give our right arm to be played in that team. And probably not if you're a goalkeeper, you'd be a little bit screwed. But we would all want to be there. And that's exactly what he's wanted from being a kid. He's made it quite clear he's a Wednesday fan. He's been here for years. He's desperate to do it. So to hear that must be awful. And I think it must be just as bad to hear us criticising him when really he hasn't done that much wrong. I've got no doubt that he doesn't listen to this at all. But I do think that it's not been him. And I think sometimes goalkeepers, unless you're like David De Gea, take a lot of stick for stuff that isn't their fault. And, shit happens around them and they're just one man at the end of the pitch at the end of the day. And it is a team sport. But yeah, I can't fault him at Preston, to be fair. I really can't.
All right. Well, fair enough then. Now, so game finished 3-3, end of the playoffs. Now, I will say at this point that given the way our season was going under the mustachioed one, to get to where we've got in the league is absolutely superhuman. We've had a great 2.5 months under Steve Bruce, and I'm genuinely excited about going forward. Yes, it's a little bit disappointing to not get the playoffs, but it was a big ask right to start with. And I think Chansiri said that, didn't he, right at the at one of the fans forum meetings. But fair play to Sheffield Wednesday, and I am very excited. Given on the signings that Bruce got in as well, I'm encouraged a bit more about our recruitment as well. Now, Jurgen Klopp famously said that in this country we're obsessed with the transfer market. We should concentrate on tactics and how we play the game as opposed to just signing new players, which I agree with to some extent. However, there is one player that we are stuck with for the next year. Now, he scored the equaliser against Preston. Now, Vic, I'm going to give you 30 seconds to talk about Ati Nuhiu. Get your gloating right now. Let's get it in now. And then we can get it out of the way and move on with the show. What do you reckon?
Do you know what? I've been a bit quiet on him over the last few weeks because I think he's gone off the boil a bit. But I say that, but he hasn't, has he? Because he's come on and he's made a difference in quite a lot of games. He absolutely made the difference against Preston. He shit them up.
15 seconds.
Shut up, we're way ahead of time. I think he's one of those players that he's a bit like Forestieri, right? In that Forestieri, people plan to play against him. They absolutely plan him to the nearest detail, and a lot of the time they outmark him as much as they can. Nuhiu, nobody really seems to plan to play against him because they never think he's going to start. No one ever seems to get the idea, despite how many appearances it's been now, probably like 100 off the bench, that he's probably going to come off the bench. And he's probably going to shit you up. And your strikers can't deal with it because he doesn't run like a footballer. He doesn't kick a ball like a footballer. He doesn't turn like a footballer. He certainly doesn't head a ball like a footballer. Any other footballer would have kicked that ball into the net. Nuhiu headed it from a foot off the ground.
All right. Look, that was a whole minute there I gave you. Now, all right, I'm winding it in here.
He changed the game. I didn't see the celebration that he's had a lot of stick for. I just saw him cheering, coming up to the crowd. Apparently he cupped his ear, he shushed the crowd and whatever. Do you know what? So would I. Because every time he gets stick, he seems to score. So I'd probably be like, yeah, F you.
Well, to be honest, right, and Dave, I'll come to you on this. Now, he's a much, he's a divisive figure amongst the Sheffield Wednesday fans. So, I want you to talk about that side of it, that thing that Vic briefly mentioned on there, where every time he does score, he does deliver a big FU. I mean, what are your feelings on him?
I think if you're going to look positively, and I'll try and do that since I've just been criticised for calling Cammy Dawson.
No, bollocks. No, that's fine. No, I want you to slag him off. We've got Vic who would happily turn this show into the Ati New hour. I want you to tell me exactly. Don't sugarcoat it for me. I'm a grown up. I'm all right.
Right, Grant, fantastic. He had 3 or 4 good games at the end of last season. He's been shite before and afterwards. He's a big one. It's like some village in Kosovo's missing its idiot. It's like having Andy Booth for the 21st century.
Some village is missing its idiot.
Syndrome.
No, keep going, Dave. Keep going.
Aye, so, before I was so rudely interrupted by the happy clapper that is Vic for Happy New Year, he's had his moment. He's got his extension for his contract, and he's sat and taken a wage off the club when we can scarcely afford to do that. He's not the worst defender, but he's probably in the top 3 or 4.
Well, there you are. That's Ati New tick. I think we've done that. So you're listening to the Ati New Hour, brought to you by the Riverside Cafe. On Catch Bar Lane, available on match days, outside bar and terrace. Have I missed anything there, Vic? What about brie and cranberry sandwiches? Can I get them?
You probably could. They do an excellent foot-long fish finger butty, I'll tell you that.
Name your sex tape. All right, then. So let's move on. So that was the game. That was the game that was. Now I'm frantically going through my notes to try and find a column. I have it now in front of me by Dom Howson. Now, I thought this was quite ballsy. This is now I like Dom. I think he has a crap job, but a great job at the same time. The job he's got is great, but trying to interact with some of us on social media is absolutely hilarious. So what we've got, and I'll come to both of you on each player. Now, this is the retained list. These are the players that are out of contract by the end of this season. So I will tell you what Dom said, and then I want you to give me your opinion on it. Do you know what I mean? And tell me whether you would keep or leave.
Are we allowed some sort of reasoning behind that, or do we just have to say keep or leave?
Of course,
we are running way ahead of time here. We can whack in like a little sonnet, whatever you want.
I've got a game show for you. We can play. Say again, Dave.
I've got a thesis wrote about all of the out of contract players, so
that's far too highbrow. What I've got is a crap game show based on the club shop, and then we're going to discuss the Summit the Hedgehog trailer as an extra. So that's nice, isn't it? All right then. So Kieran Westwood, absolute stalwart for Sheffield Wednesday. Like you say, Vic, I think it's somebody that we need to replace if he did go. Now, Dom has been exuberant in his response and gone with keep. So that's three keeps for the keeper. So what do you think? I mean, it's fairly obvious, no?
I would absolutely keep him if we can. And do you know what? I think he might surprise us, and I think we might. I think being Sheffield Wednesday fans, we're all expecting him to go because that's how we think about things. You know, we think, well, he's still not quite made it. He's still probably got another chance, and But realistically, right? If you look at the Championship, he's either going to go to someone around us, or some and if you look at next year, we're in the favourites to get in the top 6, yeah. So he's probably going to go to one of those teams,
yeah, or
he might go to a Burnley. Or someone shit in the Premier League who's in that bit of the Premier League where they never know if they're going to survive. That's their season. It's not about getting in the top 6 because there is a top 6. There'll always be a top 6 apart from Leicester. They're always going to be that. Are we going to make it? So is he going to go to one of them, or is he going to stick with us where he might possibly get his big bonus, his chance of glory, his momentum of being a legend? I do think he'll stay. I really, really do. And I think it sounds like Steve Bruce has put faith back in him. He seems quite happy to be there. Obviously, it's not nice if you don't have if you think about any job you do, if your manager dislikes you, it's a fucking awful place to be. No matter where you work, if you work in Tesco, if you work in IBM, if you work at Sheffield Wednesday, if you work anywhere, if your manager dislikes you, it's awful and you do not want to go to work. Imagine that for a year under Yoss, with 30,000 people questioning every week why you're not playing, and it's all because your manager doesn't like you, basically. That's it. It must be horrible. So now we've brought him back, we've built him up. I really hope that Bruce has done enough for him to stay, and I think Bruce is an old school enough manager to keep him.
Do you know what? Excellent point, that, Vic, to be fair. So, Dave, I assume you're in agreement, but I think Vic brought up a good point there of, would we offer him one and would he stay? I think there's also a discussion there, no?
Yeah, totally. I'm again totally with Vic on that. If it's if it's up to us, and you've got a goalkeeper who's wanting to stay at a club like here in Westwood, you make it happen. My concern with Westwood and with Wednesday is that it could end up being a 1-year deal based on age, fitness, finances, several factors, and as Vic alluded to, like a Burnley type team, some lower Premier League team, if they come along with a 2-year deal, not with any great intention of playing in first team, but there to help their younger goalies, there to have on the bench. If Lee Grant can end up at Man United, then anything can happen, I suppose. But I do think that it's going to be a straight choice for Westwood in the summer and his agent and his family. That he'll get a 1-year deal at Wednesday, or he'll have a 2-year deal put under his nose to sit on the bench at a lower Premier League team or another Championship team that's been relegated maybe from the Premier League down. And what does he want? Where can he make the most of his money? He's at the tail end of his career. Has he got another promotion in him? Has he got the fight and the stomach for that? Or is he looking to just secure his and his family's future by just taking a 2-year deal and maybe a better payday elsewhere? We should fight for all we're worth to keep him on the books at Wednesday.
I'd give him a 1+1, I think.
All right, so that's...
Yeah, as in, we'll give you a year, definite. If you play 20 games, we'll give you another year. I think that's the way to do it when people have had such a poor injury record. If you can't give them, if you can give them a 2-3 year deal, give him it. But if you can't, then I think something like that is perfectly fair and reasonable, and maybe a big bonus if we get promoted. I think that's the way to do it, because that's the way that we can afford to do it, and that for him, I'd imagine he's probably not that money incentive anymore, because he's probably got more than enough for none of his great-great-grandkids to have to worry. But I think, I would go with a 1+1.
I thought you were just singing Big Shack at that moment in time, but no, 1+1 equals 2+4. Old time fire in the booth. All right, then. So next one, yeah, innit? Right then. So this one is a very divisive figure. Fullback, Liam Palmer, Sheffield Wednesday throughout all of his career. Has the ability at a very young age, or had the ability at a very young age, to look 30 years older than what he actually did. Now, come under a lot of fire over the years for playing for us. But Don here has gone with keep. So Vic, are you sentimental?
I'm not sentimental. Not about Sheffield Wednesday, to be honest, because I always think, the club comes before the player. But I would definitely keep him. I don't think he's done anything wrong this season to say that he shouldn't get a new contract. I think that he has stepped up in a way that, it's been a long time since a player of his sort of stature has stepped up like that. He's had nothing but stick for the last few years, and he has come out and proved himself 100%. I think the only thing that he's lacking in the last few games that he could have probably done with is a couple of goals, because we know he can score. I think a couple of goals, and he'd probably been guaranteed a new contract, probably in Chansiri's eyes anyway. But I think that Bruce is, he's a defender himself. He knows how to play. He's got the best out of him so far. I would 100% keep him, definitely.
And to you, Dave, what do you reckon?
I would say probably 51% of the keep. I'm not as fully sold as Vic. There's no doubt he's playing his best football of his Wednesday career under Bruce now. He's showed versatility. I think he's been better at left back than he has been at right back, which has allowed Diofa to come in. I think he's better at left back than Fox has been. consistently anyway. I know they can both turn in a good game and they can both turn in a not so good game. I'd be inclined to want to keep him. It sort of depends on what else is going to happen going forward. I think a new contract he would take. I think he wouldn't be on a great deal of money. So if you're being sensible, he's probably a sensible player to keep on the books. But going forward, I don't know if he's got anywhere further to go than what he's shown this season when he's been at his best. So, probably yes, but I'm not as fully sold as Vic is.
No, do you know what? I think you're right. I think there's an element of, as a footballer, you can be excused for a lot of failings as an actual footballer by being super fit. And there is no doubt that Liam Palmer is quick. He's engaged. He's he'll look for that challenge. He's a great fit young man. But sometimes when it comes to actual technical ability, I don't think he's one of the best players we've got. And I think to chuck like that, if we threw something stupid at him, like a 3 or 4 year deal, that would be money up the wall for me. But I do believe that this season he's managed to silence a lot of doubters, and I think he's managed to earn himself at least getting a look at some kind of deal. But yeah, so we both agree with Dom on that one then. So that's both keep, but with some caveats. Now this one, I don't know if I agree with Dom on this one, but Marco Matthias, the shiny toothed egg tartlet purveyor across Sheffield. Now Dom seems to believe that he's chipped in quite well with this season with 7 goals. Sometimes he's a frustrating figure, but Dom uses the term squad player. Now he's gone with his verdict of keep, but he's also added the caveat of, but I don't think Wednesday will. What do you think, Vic?
I don't know. I'll give Davie this one first, and then I'll see how I feel.
There you are, Dave. You're setting the tone on this one, Paul.
Right. Yes, Marco Matthias, the man that couldn't stop smiling, even if he tried with 8 teeth at the moment. No, for me, he's going in the bin. Reason being, at 29 and being as inconsistent, and although this is his best season, I'll grant him that, and he's scored his most goals. But we must have a number of players wanting to come through from a similar position, hungry, through the sort of the 18s and the 23s, who want to get into the scene and push on. If somebody like Matt Penny's coming back, I know he's played at fullback, but a direct player, a guy who can go at fullbacks and beat a man, I think we've got to be better served. I don't know how well Matthias is getting paid. I can imagine he's probably on a reasonable amount of money compared to some of the younger players, but I don't see the value at the age he's at to keep him. I say you let him move on and you try and bring somebody else through who can have the same impact that maybe he should have had.
I have nothing to add to that, Dave. I think you're spot on. I think exactly that. I think we've waited for this type of player to turn up, and we've got glimpses of it this season. Yes, we have. But for me, you can get in the bin.
No,
what about you, Vic?
I just wanted to hear if you'd say similar to what I was thinking, which you did. Yeah, I agree with that. I think the one thing is that he's obviously, he's quite comfortable here. He's obviously part of the crew. There seems to be this crew of like Hector, Aarons, Zhao, New Hugh, Fessy, and Matthias, and they seem to be quite a close-knit crew, and that's always a good thing, obviously. But like you said, I mean, when he's been given the chance, he has shown quality, but there's so many players in front of him before he needs to be given a chance. I think that's my problem. But then again, I think he's the kind of player that would go elsewhere and do an Antonio. I think that's the one way to put it. I think he would do an Antonio if he went somewhere else. But if he didn't, he'd probably end up stagnating at Sheffield Wednesday. So it's a tough one with him.
I think he needs to go for his own career, to be honest. I think you're right. He's too far down the queue to get any pitch time. So, I'd be pushing it, getting a move myself. So, All right, I don't think we're going to dwell on this one too much, but well, I don't know what to say. One-eyed Jesus lookalike. Are we going to go with George Boyd? A player in the past that Sheffield Wednesday fans have sang, "Where's your caravan at?" While he's been marauding down the right wing. Once an absolute championship stalwart, once a massive player. But Dom has gone with release. Now, Dave, a much maligned figure within the camp once again. We have a lot of those, don't we? And I say that phrase quite a lot. But what do you reckon on Boydie?
Starting with a positive, he's playing as well now as he's ever played for Wednesday, and that's at the end of the sort of positivity. He
wondrously diplomatic, that Dave.
He's shy. He should go.
Do you know who he reminds me of? He reminds me of
Who does he remind you
James
of?
Quinn.
I'm intrigued.
Do you remember James Quinn? I know they both had long hair and that, but he was one of them players that never really, he had the old game that he looked really good, and then in like the playoffs and stuff, he looked outstanding, and then he just disappeared. And I just think he's one of those players. He's just, and I can see him going on and doing well somewhere else. I can't see him setting the world alight somewhere else. He's obviously, apparently, a very intelligent person off the football pitch. Apparently, his money is made off the football pitch, not on the football pitch, which comes as no surprise. But yeah, for me, I think he's probably not. I think he's almost too normal to be a footballer, if that makes sense. Like, apparently his business interests, he owns loads of businesses, and he's got money coming out of his ears from his businesses, not necessarily his football. Although, let's be honest, he earns probably more than us in a week. But he for me, it's kind of a meh, fine, do whatever.
Yeah. I think he'll go and be a squad player somewhere else. He can do what he wants for me. Right then, hotly disputed one. No, go on, Dave. Carry on.
No, I was going to say, mate, it's just with the money that he's going to be on, and you're thinking about the likes of Ashraf Lazar or Orlando Aarons, if you could reinvest the money that Boyd's on into a season loan, if you're only going to give Boyd a 1-year deal, even if you were mental enough to do that, you could reinvest that into somebody like what we've got, which is probably going to be there or thereabouts in terms of wages, and that's going to make more impact and difference.
Absolutely. All right then, so, this player we brought up earlier, absolute slave to his injuries, but there was a point in his career where John Terry at Stamford Bridge had to clap him on the pitch because Manchester United had won the league. But the boy from Oldham himself, and I would go on record as saying, one of my favourite players to pull the shirt on in the last 3 years. Now, Dom...
in the last 3 years.
For the porn star name alike.
What an accolade that is.
Yeah. I was going to say the last couple, during the Chancery regime, but then I thought, well, he's been injured for half of that, so I don't really know, I didn't know how to say it. But just specifically in the last 3 years, half of which he's been injured. But the porn star name alike, Mr. Kieran Lee, like I say, one of my absolute favourite. And Dom has gone with release. I think he believes that the injuries have got the better of him, and the player that he was is an absolute shadow. What do you reckon, Vic?
I think for me, I'd give him a year, and I would probably. To be honest, I have no idea. Well, to be honest, none of us do. We have no idea how football contracts work. If there was a contract that said, look, we'll give you a year, but if after 6 months you're still not playing regularly, your wage drops, or whatever. It's a really, really tough one because it meant so much last weekend when he came on. It really, really did. It felt, but at the same time, I think he's the same age as me. He's not young. He's 31 this year. He's been blighted by injury throughout his career. Well, I guess throughout his career, obviously. I'm not 100% sure, but throughout his career at Sheffield Wednesday. But on his day, he's still, one of the best players in the Championship by miles on his day. But how often we see that day is a bit of a rarity, isn't it? So, I don't know. I would hate to be the person that made that decision. I'd really hate it.
Yeah, I think a pay as you play deal is the best he's going to get from Sheffield Wednesday. But I think you're right, Vic, that they're like with the other players. I think there may be another club that might take that gamble for a year-long contract. But you never know. You never know. We've stood by him for a long time now, and there might be something change. What about you, Kieran Lee, Dave?
There's got to be a deal out there for him, Hunter. There's got to be something. You're probably right, but see some sort of pays you play or month to month or even a 6-month deal. You go to Lee and you say to him about, we'll keep you on, we'll take you through the pre-season. Don't try and commit too much to it because obviously anything could happen, but we've got to put something in front of him, realistic, to give him a chance to get back into the Wednesday first team. If there's a possibility it can be anything like the player he was without overly committing the club. So Vic says a 1-year deal, I'd go to that right to the very far extent of what we would be prepared to give him at the lower end of it, some sort of month-to-month deal. But if somebody else comes and takes him, then fair enough, he's been a great servant, but we've got to put something there to give him a choice or an option, and hopefully he'll want to repay the staff at Wednesday that have stood by him, and we can get a guy back and then look to view to maybe give him a 12-month, 18-month deal once he's proved his fitness.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's something that we should definitely be taking a look on. And I'm gonna make this last one because I feel that the remaining three in Daniel Pudil and Jones and Abdi, I don't think there's any real discussion there. To be fair, I mean, Pudil out of those three, you're going to go thanks a lot, but see you later. You're an old guard now, but really appreciate some of the times we've had together. And Abden and Jones can get in the bin. But the last one, and I feel we may be walking over old ground here. I'm going to come to you first, Vic. But he carries a poop scooper, drives a Brown Mini Cooper, and he's pretty super duper. Gary Hooper.
Keep. I love him. Him and Fletcher will absolutely set the league alight next year if they're both fit and if they are both fed properly with like the football. I mean, not I was going to say with balls, but But
both
yeah,
fed.
100% got to keep Gary Hooper. If we don't, it's probably not the end of the world, but I'd be disappointed if we don't. I think he has been incredible for us. And he is one of those players that we've said before, there are these players that you see throughout the time in the Premiership, Championship, and you think, I wish they'd play for Wednesday. Gary Hooper has always been one of those players for me. And now he does, and we've just got to have patience in him. Again, same age as me, is 31, something like that, 32. He's getting on a bit, but he's still scoring. He's still a good player, and I think him and Fletcher are I think they are the key next season. Unless obviously we bring in like Lukaku, like fine, whatever. But in the meantime, I'm happy with Gary Hooper.
All right, so Vic's happy with Gary Hooper. Dave, are you the same? Do you think Hooper and Fletcher are the way forward for us?
Yeah, absolutely. Looking at the team we've got, I know we've got a glut of strikers, but if everyone's 100% fit and it's Saturday and it's 2 o'clock, you're picking your team. You're picking them two up front. The versatility they give you, the link-up play, the way that they can move it around, they're both capable of scoring goals in a variety of different ways. You've got to keep him if there's any way we can. My concern solely that I don't think Bruce would go this way because I think he does rate him as a player. But if Bruce is saying we need to offload strikers, is he just the easy one to lift out? Because you save the wages, there's not going to be any transfer fee, but if nobody else comes in, anyone like Winnall, Joao, or Forest Area, whatever, and it keeps Rhodes on, and then we're getting into the pre-season and we're still loaded up with 7 strikers. Bruce wants to cut that down, and I would hate to think that's just the easy choice because the contract's running down. I'd much rather see Hooper on a 1-year, 2-year deal, move on some of the other players and build around that. And there's a couple of good years surely left in Hooper and Fletcher if they can stay fit. And if we're going to do anything serious next season, off the playing personnel that we've got, it's going to be based around those two up front and how we can support those two up front. So we do everything we can. We'll keep.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. So that's the contract talks out the way. By the sounds of it, we pretty much agree with Dom and the way he goes as well. I think the only bone of contentious there being Marco Matthias. So, right. So, I don't know if you remember, but regular listeners of the show would know that we used to do sketches.
I never
we used to do
listened to that
interviews.
shit.
You know what I mean? It's all coming back. It's going to be a bumpy year. This bitch. Right. So what I've done, I have fashioned, while we're talking about contracts, a game show. We're going to call it Store Wars. Yeah, that's what we're going to call it.
Sorry, what should we call it?
So, right,
Store
Vic,
Wars?
I
Isn't
have
that on,
been on the website. Store, S-T-O-R, as in shop.
S-T-O-R-E, yeah. So, like, Storage Wars, but not, yeah?
Yeah.
Is that the joke? Oh, okay. Okay.
Whatever.
Go on.
Fucking hell.
Money!
Right. All right,
Lawyers
so
aren't gonna
what
like
I've done, innit?
That's the noise of
What you doing? What was that
Storage
noise?
Wars,
You were just
Bella.
making
Do you
noises now. What was
watch
that? You sounded like that. Nobody watches Storage Wars. They've got jobs. You know what I mean? The only people who watch Storage Wars are old ladies who sit at home and watch daytime television because there's sod all else on that channel. Come on now. Right. It's just the name I've seen.
Okay, but I do watch
You're
Storage
taking
Wars,
away
but
from the
fine,
content.
go.
This is good content. This is good. Right. But get a job. All right, then. So, I have picked out 4 items from the
Yes!
Sheffield Wednesday Megastore. Yeah? I want you to put them in order. It's as simple as that. Yeah? Right then. Are you ready with the 4 items?
Hang on, what? In order of what?
In order. Ascending or descending. That choice is entirely up to yours.
Can I get a
in
notebook?
terms of price.
I need a notebook. Hold
Yeah?
on.
This sounds like The Price is Right rather than Star Wars.
No, it's all right. I'll type it. I'll type it here.
Christ almighty.
Okay.
So, while Vic gets a notebook. All right. Right then. Okay, so. Desktop gift set. A mug, a pen, a coaster, that type of thing. Yeah? There is also, the next item is a Teddy mug and sweet set. The third item is a PVC size 5 football. And the final item is a bar scarf. I don't know what that is, but it's I think it's just a blue and white striped scarf. So those are your 4 items. A desktop gift set, a Teddy mug and sweet set, a PVC size 5 football, or a bar scarf. Vic, in the order of your choosing with the price.
Okay, I've typed it up, but I typed it up so quickly that 2 of them have got dollars, not pounds. So I'm going scarf, £6.
Well, I'm excited.
Football, yeah.
Right?
Football,
Yeah,
£8.
but that's item number 4, yeah?
Teddy and
Right.
mug and sweet set, £10.
Right,
Desktop gift set, £14.
right. Well, Vic, I can tell you that you got 2 items right. You,
Oh, no.
I mean, your prices were well off. You've been up Yorkshire for far too long. But so, for example, yeah, the in 4th place was the bar scarf, £10. At size 5 football, 10 English monies.
Ooh.
PVC size 5 football, £12. Now, in 2nd place was the desktop gift set
That feels reasonable.
for a £15. You know, a bit more bang for your buck on that, to be fair, it's quite reasonable. However, the Teddy mug and sweet set was a whopping £20. So,
oh my
you know,
god.
yeah.
Oh dear.
Yeah. Stuck on any
I
of the
do,
throw, you
I
see.
do.
You see where the fun lies in this game show now. All right then. Right then. I'm gonna subvert this for you, Dave. Are you ready?
Go for it.
So, I've come away from the Sheffield Wednesday Megastore and I've gone to our neighbour's Megastore. You know what I mean? The ones at the other side, at the bad side. Yeah? I've crossed boundary lines. Yeah? You know, the team we don't speak their name of. Right? So,
Okay,
the items are a Protec toiletry bag. It's just a toiletry bag. The second item is a wooden wall bottle opener. So it's essentially a piece of wood that you attach to the wall. It's got one of those old style bottle openers attached to it. The third item is a shard cushion, which is essentially a cushion with the logo on it. The shard bit is just like a glass pattern. And my favourite named item, the 4th item, is a Trevor toy plush monkey. So it's just a monkey called Trevor, right? So in the order, lowest first, what do you reckon?
Is a shard cushion not just an instrument of torture? 'Cause it does sound a little bit like it.
It can be that, or it can be a souvenir from a building in London. You never know. You know what I mean? They're just making these things up.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Right, okay, so I'm looking for the cheapest, the most expensive. You want them?
Let's go cheapest first. It's exciting, this, isn't it? It's exciting. It's good. It's a good game show. What do you reckon?
Right, I'm going for the cheapest thing, with that being the bottle opener. And
Right.
that's probably going to cost about, I don't know, 4 bags of shit for them, whatever that is.
Yep.
Real money.
Yep.
Then I'm going toiletry bag, one more bag of shit, and then cushion, 2 more bags of shit, and then Trevor, the expensive monkey, being just fortune, £8 or 17.
Ooh. All 17 bags of shit. All right, then. So, Dave, I can tell you were close, but Vic is the winner this week on Storage Wars because you only got one item right, I'm afraid. There's an element of competition in the podcast, you see. It's good, isn't it? So, let me tell you, Dave. So, it's exciting. So, in it was the ProTech toiletry bag was the cheapest item at 12 English pounds. Then the cushion was 50. Yeah, that's probably what it is. It's probably got somebody's tooth on it. Then the cushion was £15. Now, for a cushion to cost 15 quid, I'm assuming Lisa Blade has sat on it or something. Then it's the wooden wall bottle opener.
They are
That's
nice,
18
though.
quid.
I've got a San Miguel one. They are nice.
And yes, you were.
Yeah, that's not nice. That's
But this one's got a cross sword pattern on it. You don't want that. That's not worth 18 quid, is it? And you were dead right. The most expensive item was the Trevor toy plush monkey, meaning that in Sheffield, it terms that plush teddy bears are obscenely priced in football clubs. And second, it also means that Vic is the inaugural winner of Storage Wars. Big round of applause for Vic. Well done, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. That was Storage Wars. It was good, wasn't it?
Show that I win,
what did you reckon to that, Vic?
I'm a fan of.
It's exciting, wasn't it?
Tipping point. So,
yeah.
You, Defo, Ben
who's
Shepherd didn't
better,
let me
me
win.
or Ben Shepherd?
And when he hugged me, he smelled of cigarettes. And, I mean, you smell of cigarettes, but in a nice way. Yeah, God, yeah. Oh, mate.
Is Ben Shepherd on the fags?
It was like hugging a Benson and Hedges. It was horrible.
Oh, wow. That's, that was always one of my favourite things. Like when you meet celebrity people and people in the public eye, it was my favourite thing. Which ones are on the tabs?
Podcast.
Do you know what I mean?
Your own podcast for that shit. Although I did find out the other night, I'm not going to mention any names, right?
That's someone else
but
I need
my
to move on
friend who
from.
does listen to this podcast will know that it's about him. Slept with one of Girls Aloud. So he trumps you big time, Dan Fudge. He was like, oh yeah, it just happened one night in Corfu. I was like, what?
Yeah, he has. He's
in Corfu. I know.
Oh, in Corfu as well.
Yeah.
That was a car park. Yeah. Christ, isn't it? All right. Well, let's move on before this turns into a really frustrating, sordid piece of radio. Let's crack on. So don't forget, Catch Bar Lane open on match days. You've got the Riverside Cafe. They pay for the bandwidth for this podcast and a couple of bits like the shed that we keep Beastie in. It used to pay for the squeaky bum cream that Lord Hillsborough used to purvey, and it now pays for Sambuca apparently at 7 o'clock in Manchester train station.
A girl that's out with a load of boys who think they're funny. That's who does. Bloody hell.
That's who does. Right, so this is the any other business part of the podcast, and I think we should be mentioning that the Owlings, the juniors, the young uns, have won the league, haven't they? Vic,
I don't tend to watch the kids, to be honest. James mentioned it on the last podcast, and yeah, absolutely brilliant. Well done to them. I did used to follow one of them on Instagram, but then his hashtags got a bit weird. One of the goalkeepers, I can't remember his name now. If you can find him, he's hilarious. Like some of his hashtags, like hashtag blue eyes, hashtag professional goalkeeper. I love it. But no, go the youth. Like brilliant.
Oh wow.
Obviously the thing is, like we lol and we say, go Team Youth, but sometimes one of those becomes a Liam Palmer or a Tommy Sturt or a Mark Beavers or whoever. And who knows? Who knows now? Who knows what's going to happen? But I brilliant. Well done to them. Can't fault them. Great. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the bit that adds the most of it as well is that after a 1-1 draw away at Sheffield United, that was the result that clinched the league title as well. So lol.
Can I mention
That's
Michael
it.
Hector
Does
being
anybody
Man
else
of the
have any
Year?
other little bits?
Man of the Year. Obviously not Player of the Year because James doesn't like
Yes,
us to
of
do
course
it like ungendered. So we're saying Man of the Year is Michael Hector. Do we think that's fully deserved? I for one, think it 100% is because we signed him from Chelsea. Paul said he's shy, but he's Beckenbauer in blue and white.
I'm a big fan of Michael Hector, and watching him back of house at Chelsea trying to get through that crowd when everybody recognised him was a memory that'll live with me for a significant amount of time. There was also the Star Awards last night where
Who
Sheffield
won
Wednesday
that one?
won, couple of bits, and somebody else won some other awards. But the less said about that, the better. Just some things and some stuff happened, and everybody got drunk.
Didn't Michael
some
Hector
photos
win?
taken, and I think Dom got an hangover. But apart from that, nothing else happened.
He did Player of the Year.
I think Michael Hector won
again.
something for Sheffield
Sign
Wednesday,
him
didn't
up.
he? It was the Player of the Year for Sheffield
We know
Wednesday.
that Mr. Chansiri
And then-
listens to this. Right,
Yeah,
how many
we've done
times
that.
do we have to
Are you
mention
pissed?
this? Player of the Year for the club, Player of the Year for the Sheffield Star, a.k.a. Fleet Street in Sheffield. Sign him up. Bloody hell.
Yes, that is a sign-in that I would genuinely love to see, because I think Hector also brings out a lot out of Tom Lees as well. There was something else I wanted to talk about, but it escapes me right now. So I'm just going to move on. And Dave, would you tell the listeners out there in Listenerland how they would be able to follow your nonsense on the internet?
Yes, by all means, come and annoy me on Twitter at Monty Dangerous and see my various amusing gifts that Fudge likes.
Yeah, my favourite one is the Out of Reach one. Speaking of which, the Goal of the Year competition between Sheffield Wednesday is one of my absolute favourites, and I've got to give a level of sympathy to Adam Reach for scoring worldie after worldie after worldie to get outdone by Forestieri in a goal that was most recently in the memory. Personally, I'd have given it Barry Bannon against Millwall.
I think
or Reach,
Barry Bannon,
with the one against Leeds. What about you, Vic?
was great. Reach, I think Reach has been hard done to because I think Reach has scored so many that it was almost too difficult to choose. So you almost wanted to avoid that player and pick a different player, if you know what I mean. But yeah, I'd have gone Bannon or Forestieri.
Yeah. And if anybody wants to get in touch of your nonsense on the internet, your Tinder woes, where can I go and see them?
I don't have Plenty of Fish, but
What's
on
your
Tinder,
username on
I'm at
Plenty of Fish?
Victoria 1867.
Asking for a mate.
So hit me up.
I am shocked at my very core. All right then. My name's Dan Fudge. Thank you so much. Yeah, she's Victoria 867 everywhere. Just allow it. My name's Dan Fudge on Twitter and in real life, so that's nice, isn't it? And come and join me on Twitter and come and say hello. Next week will probably be our last one of the season, so we'll do some kind of season recap. We'll get some of the lads in. We'll get some of the favourite moments from the season, favourite moments of the podcast, if there actually, if there's been any, because my game show might make it in there. Star Wars is obviously here to stay, and it's not going to be like any normal thing that I bring to the podcast, and it gets dropped off like here. Where are they now? So thanks very much for joining us. And what remains to say is something that
Keep up to date with the Wednesday Week on Twitter at TWWcast or on our website, thewednesdayweek.co.uk.